Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Lubbock Power and Light customers have less than a month to choose a new electric provider. As customers weigh in their options, they continue to contact our KCBD Investigates team for help.
KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaylee Kidwell took your questions to LPNL to get answers. Shaylee?
The shopping window closes on February 15th. Lubbock Power and Light has about 108,000 meters, which includes 93,000 residential customers. Since the shopping window opened on January 5th, 8% of customers have chosen their new provider. Matt Rose with LPNL has advice for those who are struggling to make a decision.
It's very important as folks go out there and they start looking at these providers and they start looking at cost and trying to properly gauge what is an appropriate amount to pay for electricity. It's important for them to be able, as best they can, do an apples to apples comparison of what they would have been paying us if we had continued to serve in this role.
Here's a look at LPNL's rate history. Standard residential customers paid nearly 14 cents in fiscal year 2021-2022, 17 cents the following year, and about 14 cents in fiscal year 2023-2024. While LPNL will not be a provider moving forward, we asked Rose what LPNL would have charged customers this summer.
We would have had to have raised our all-in rate starting in May to right under 17 cents. About 16.8 or 16.9 cents.
So how does that rate compare with other companies? Here's a look at powertochoose.org. The website allows you to compare electric providers and sign up with a new one. The cheapest rate per kilowatt hour is just under 14 cents. The highest is nearly 19 cents. You'll have to click on each company's fact sheet to see if there are any additional fees. This particular Octopus energy plan, for example, charges about 18 cents per 1,000 kilowatt hour, which is what the average homeowner uses. In addition to that rate, Octopus has a base charge of $10 a month. And make sure you read the fine print. There may be credit and debit card processing fees, termination fees, disconnection fees, and more. Your new provider may also require a deposit based on your credit score. We've also received several questions about LPNL's delivery charge of 6.442 cents per kilowatt hour. That number will be the same no matter your plan or your provider. We asked Rose how LPNL arrived at this number.
Our cost of delivering power here in Lubbock is 5.4 cents. However, for the first 2 years that we're in this competitive market, we are going to have a transition charge that is a part of this rate that is a 1 penny adder. So your delivery charge will be 6.4 cents instead of 5.4. And then after 2 years, that will roll off because that transition charge is comprised of all of the stranded debt and assets that we had in closing off this business and moving to this new competitive model.
Rose says this charge covers everything like meter fees, staffing, and maintaining infrastructure. Aside from picking a company, you'll need to decide if you want a fixed rate like what LPNL customers are accustomed to, or a variable rate.
We've been encouraging folks as much as they can to focus on trying to get a fixed and flat rate so that they know that going forward they can do everything they can to be energy efficient, and the only thing that's going to affect your overall cost is whether you use more or less kilowatt hours in a given month.
Now that LPNL is getting out of the energy business, what's going to happen with their 3 power plants?
That these are aging units that we have been slowly putting into mothball status over the last 10 years because they're just not economical to run anymore.
Rose says the plants closed on October 1st of last year.
The first effort is going to be to put them out on the open market and see if there is an interest in somebody coming and buying these generation units, coming on site and running them themselves. But short of that, we'll look to sell it in pieces because there are pieces of that power plant that are good and viable and worthwhile in the market.
LPNL is now working with a firm that specializes in this type of public bid and hopes they'll find buyers. So what if you miss the February 15th deadline to choose your provider? Don't worry, you won't be without power. You'll be randomly assigned to one of 3 default providers: Octopus Energy, Reliant, or TXU Energy. You may want to know who the city of Lubbock is going to go with. We're told the city has hired an outside consultant to help with that decision. We will keep you updated. You may also have questions like, what if you're unhappy with your default provider? Or what is your bill going to look like? We have answers to these questions and more in our web story. Karen and Abner.
Thank you, Shaylee.